that's new. Currently, I am long. Personally, I am long at the moment. Avoided as well. This is the long that I am in. It's a very minor position. It's not a big position. That is exactly why I was hoping that we get back to these lows, and then I could fill up another long, and that would be like that would go crazy all the way up to like 74Ks. But let's just take a look at what's going on here. And we had been rejected from the higher time frame POC. Now, to understand this, let's just go to the hard time frame real quick and what's going on here. Now, this is a chart that I have shared like multiple times over in the stream already. The last stream that we did on last Monday had been just a preview of this as well. Now, what happened before was like we just got rejected from the range POC, and because of that, usually price rotates much lower, but it managed to hold this higher low just below the value area low, which sort of led to a structure that led to a slow grind. And this is where we were looking for longs. And from those longs, I was hoping that we get another rejection. And from here, after this rejection, we sort of form another higher low structure right around here. And from that higher low structure, we everybody gets to like long one more time, and then from that long we can sort of develop like a bottom long that goes all the way up to like this low volume node that we have sitting right around 72K, and our stops could be just below these lows because I feel like the SFP has already been done, the liquidity has already been taken, all of the liquidity sitting on these lows, all of these lows has already been taken, so there is not enough liquidations to push the price further down lower. So we're sort of building up that same momentum this time, but I feel like it's gonna be more aggressive. That's gonna like send price all the way up to maybe even 82Ks back, take out these highs that are right here, and from that we could sort of SFP and then go much lower from there. I still have sort of like a hard time frame outlook for the price where we end up bottoming around anything between 32Ks to like 50Ks. That's like a buy structure level for me, and it's something that I have shared in my last private call as well. I'll share the buying levels for the higher time frame and long term as well if you really want to invest into BTC. But just taking a look at this structure right here, I was hoping we get a rejection. Let's just take a look if we are getting a rejection. Let me delete this structure right here. The idea for this short basically was that we get a very strong rejection. That initial rejection looks something like this. And from that rejection, we get a little bounce back up. And from that bounce back up, we form a lower high. And then from that lower high, you can actually take the short. And your stops could be this high that we have right here, as all of these highs are pretty much the same. If one gets taken, the rest will do so as well. And we get a rotation down to this low. Probably now this FEG as well, but we get a rotation down to this low, and we form another low into this FEG extreme right here. And from that low, we send the prices much higher. And once we have flipped the POC, we get another long that we are able to take and send prices rotate all the way up to 73K, 77K, the value area high that is somewhere above here. That was the idea. And it's currently not really showing any sort of signs of weakness at all. Let me just show you what I mean by that. Let me delete everything I have on the chart and then zoom in a bit because this is a 15-minute time frame. And essentially what we are looking for when we talk about weakness is basically a breakdown in structure and reliance of high holds and low holds. Let's just say this is an extreme PI for me. This entirety is like an extreme FEG for me. Anywhere in between, wherever the momentum really sells, whenever it starts to sell, that could be, let's say we form a low here, and then from that low, we sort of just do not break further higher. And it doesn't have to be this aggressive. We don't break higher. We like sort of break down whatever structure we're forming, and then we go back up, and then we don't have enough bids to like break higher again. That is actually a trigger for me to go short again, as that is weakness in bids. That should not happen at a POI for short, and if it has happened, that is clearly a sign of shorts. And the first TP for that trade could be right around this low, that these lows that we have, and they could be taken as in like taken liquidity. And from that we could get like a minor bounce, and then from the minor bounce we could form another high, and then from there we could take another short that could like be a rotation down to this POI now. And now what level is this POI? This is the higher time frame. The overall trends low, as you can see, like this is the bottom, this is the second higher low, and this is the next higher low, and we get to form another higher low. And then from there we continue further higher and higher. Now this is the only acceptable scenario for the short at the moment. And if you want to short anything else, I do not recommend so. Now, the only acceptable scenario for longs, if you have missed these longs, the one that I'm in at the moment, would be if we don't get any sort of weakness that I am explaining and portraying to you guys. And instead, what we actually do is just continuation and momentum. And actually, continuation and momentum is way more easy to recognize comparatively to loss in momentum. That is, the momentum itself looks somewhat like this. It could look like this. It basically is just looks like a bunch of sequential highs, higher highs, and a bunch of like higher lows. And it's actually like very recognizable, especially in a short PUI, because that is when the price has to got to like start rejecting. It has start to got to like show weakness. But if it does any sort of like bid momentum or chasing exactly in a short PUI, that is continuation. That is strength in price, as it's like just tearing apart any sort of sellers that are sitting at a PUI that exists for sellers, right? Like a short PUI exists for sellers. Now, if we do not get any sort of selling momentum into that PUI, and rather we get a slow grind structure, we just gonna look for longs around that. And then the next trigger would be if you are able to flip the POC level that we have. And a flip would look something like, let's just say, it comes to 67k. That is the POC that we have. And from the POC, what happens, like it starts to like form this sort of structure again, and you gotta put some emphasis on this continuation structure, this slow grind structure. And once we do that, you can like add on to those longs right away, just from that one level. And you can actually continue to trade that trend all the way up to wherever the low volume node is, that is around 72k, and the value area high is around like 75k. Now that is the overall higher time frame update and the lower time frame as well. Now I'm just waiting for that sort of structure to develop at the moment. I just want to know what sort of positions like everybody else is in at the moment. As you can see, let me go to the 3-minute chart. We can let me take a look at exit charts as well. Actually, let me open exit charts on my computer. Any questions at the moment so far? Let me see the chat. Lelouch said low is in. That's 62k low. Yep, the low it has already been in. Like it's been pretty obvious, as we have not broken down the value area low, because you have to understand like this is a big thing for like price, that it's not broken down after it has deviated. Like that's something that's very impressive. Let me just show you real quick. What usually happens, and it's something that I've talked about multiple times. Let's just say this entire range that we have, and if I mark out this entire range with a volume profile, and I mark out the value area high and the value area low, I'm gonna just stretch out wherever the markings are. And what usually happens is whenever we deviate one side of the range, let's say this side is to be deviated, this is our deviation, the manipulation. When we come back into the range after that, what this essentially means that there is so much volume that is sitting right around here that could be used for liquidations, for sending price much further lower, below the value area low. So that's a lot of trapped longs into and above the value area high. So that's very important whenever we are talking about like a deviation structure. But now that like price isn't really breaking down, it's most likely that we are going to develop this into our range. So longs here are pretty much free money, as what we should have done right here, we should have just continued price, and we should have just like continued breaking down. And that breakdown should have like continued like this. But since we have not done that, and we instead like started to form higher lows that look exactly like the structure that we had before, we are likely to get a rotation back to the value area high. And then from that rotation, it could be a little choppish as well, It could be a little spiky, but we will get that rotation back to the value area high. And honestly, looking at the like the three drive that we have right here, I would not actually like be surprised if we get a rotation even back to like 86K. What that's gonna do is that's gonna eventually provide another rotation, because this as well is not deviation. What we need in terms of sending price to one direction, we need sort of like some sort of like deviation to one side, to either side, and then the other side will continue. So if we come back right around here after the structure, we're gonna continue much lower after that. And if you had like sort of just formed this structure right here, then we would have sent like much higher, as this would have been counted as deviation. So that's like a basic understanding of like structure that we have when we're talking about like rotations and all. Let me just take a look at my exit charts real quick, and I will show you guys if I see any sort of POCs or levels we want to mark real quick. Just give me a second, guys. Okay, why is my exit charts tweaking? Okay, we do have like a POC that is sitting like below the price, but below the price, we don't really need to focus much on that. Let me just show you real quick. Cleaning all that we have on the chart real quick. We have an NPOC right around 62.500. So 62.500 is somewhere around here. 62,500. Yeah, so that's a level that hasn't been filled, and since actually we are probably gonna miss that level, because that was supposed to be like a long fill of mine as well. That's something that I share in the Shinibot channel as well. And now that we have front run that, pretty much we are most likely to just send it much higher, because we are actually at the value area low. And let me draw the profile again. For the people that are in longs and in shorts, can you share your entries in the chat as well, so I know what sort of positioning everybody has in detail? Oliver said might try a long here on the 1 minute chart. Actually, let me just go to the lower time frame real quick, because we might be able to get some positions in. Like this structure, honestly, I would let it develop just a bit, as we have rotated into our POIs, and just marking this out. We can use this as a pivotal to understand like how microstructure develops. Let's just wait for a bit, and I'll just show you. So this is how like a microstructure high or low looks like, and we're gonna mark this as a pivotal level for break structure. Now, if we do not break this, and what we are gonna do is we're gonna rotate a little bit higher back to this extreme, and then we're gonna form a little structure, and then we're gonna come back to this higher low, and then we're gonna form a little structure. Now, wherever that compression sort of like ends up like escaping is where we're gonna mark continuation. If it ends up escaping a little higher, that could most likely mean that once we like form this higher structure, we have like more bidders than we have sellers in a short POI. So that's a good sign to like extend your longs. For the short trigger, I haven't really triggered the short at the moment, even though it was like a pretty good entry if I just like limited into it. I'm just waiting for a little more structure to develop, which is most likely gonna look like this. Like just Oliver said, a little bounce back up to the 64 high that we have. And I could actually go to the lower time frame a little more, and delete that we have right here. This right here is going to act for us as a microstructure level that we have. And if we are able to hold this low, we could get a bounce back up to 65.5. And from there, we're going to form this sort of structure. And this sort of structure is what's going to determine the next trade for us. This is how like you go down to the lower time frame and just really take a glance at the microstructure and let things develop sometimes. And when they are developed is when you want to like really execute and take into it. Lulu sent short in the chat. I'm taking it short. The short that I had as well is similar to yours. My entry was supposed to be filled somewhere around here. Daily NPOC at 65.8K, right? Let me check real quick, guys. I see one like the daily NPOC for now is 64 200 for today's Husky-san chart in the chat. This plus partial from 81K. Have like a similar long. I have actually like partial out a lot from my long, and currently just running the trade. That's it. That's actually the position that I'm in. I'm just in like a long scalp at the moment, and I am waiting for this structure to develop to like sort of just flip into the structure. And if that does not happen, we're gonna actually start to run longs more. Hello, haven't received the start notification. This is gonna be recorded, by the way. I will be posting this on my Twitter, and I'll be posting this in the announcement section as well. Um, it I think IZZ said not related, Chini, but on your charts right now, if you were to short, where would your entry be? Honestly, if I was to short right now, I mean, this is very related to what we're talking about. This is what like my short setup would actually look like something like a 1.5 R. And based off of how that develops, I'm gonna probably extend it or reduce it, and then manage it. This is how like I look for entries. I actually don't want to like exit literally the bottom or the middle. I want to wait for my POI to come. I want to wait for a reaction there. And once that's done, I'm just going to like ape into the trade. And I'm going to let it develop to all the way down to where my TP is supposed to be, where a possible reversal is supposed to be. And if it does like anything from in between, I'm just going to take the trade as a break even for me. I'm not going to take a full L. I'm just going to take the trade as a break even. 19 said, can you take a little time to explain gold and forex PA sometimes? I will actually. Let's just go take a look at gold real quick. We might have something for gold at the moment. This is the last update that I had on gold. I think I shared it on last Monday or a bit before that. Yeah, last Monday we were talking about. I think gold was here. Gold was somewhere here, and I was talking about like how this FEG needs to be filled. Maybe it was like a Monday before. No, it was somewhere around here. So I was talking about like how this pivot needs to be filled, and once it's filled, as we are continuing down lower, this is a downtrend, obvious. We're gonna just reject from this FEG and go down lower. That's been working out pretty well. Now we have filled this like FEG that we have right here, and a pivotal imbalance in the chart, and we need a little bounce back up to 42, 880, something similar. And from there we can start forming higher lows. It could be higher low structure like this, or it could spike down a little as well, and then from there we're gonna run it back to like 4280 again. So we are starting to like form this sort of like strength in the chart at the moment that was not really comparatively seen all the way since 15th of April. So that was pretty good. Lilu said, I didn't take long at weekend because I saw CVD flow that's showing prices driven by perpetual. If not, not sure which CVD you were talking about. If you can share me the chart, I can guide you about it. Garamik said, at this point, if you see low holds and high holds, you would interpret this as a weakness and short. I would interpret just high holds as a weakness. I wouldn't interpret like low holds as a weakness. Because low holding is usually also referred and sort of shows like overall stalling. It doesn't show weakness right away. Weakness is preferably shown by like high holds and how that PA develops. Let me take a look at the chart Lelouch sent in the chat. So he sent a open interest and CVD chart with the price. Now taking a look at it, open interest, it's an aggregated open interest, so we have to take notice of that. So aggregated is just like a combination of pretty much every like exchange open interest, or the ones that you've selected, and then we have aggregated SPA volume as well, and it's apparently just shopping a little lower, and aggregated CVD of like perpetuals as well. Perpetuals is running a little higher, and spot is like going low. This is something that I feel like I have to like sort of explain, which is, let's just say when positions are closing, you have to see that the open interest is declining, right? When the open interest itself is declining, that means positions are closing. That could mean if price is going higher, that could mean it's shorts that are closing, because that's a positive delta in the market. Now that sends price a little higher. And when you see that the perpetuals is going higher, that just means while open interest is going down, that means like shorts are closing. That is not really, that does not mean it's bearish for the market. It usually is a bullish indicator, and you can ignore like even if you take a look at the SPA volume, I feel like like always you can do better with SPA volume if you don't use aggregator. You can use like Bybit, you can use Binance, you can use like Coinbase. Those are the sort of exchanges that you want to use when when we are talking about like like spot CVD mostly. It could be perpetuals, it could be like spot, but you want to really put some emphasis on open interest. And one exchange's open interest can really just like twist around the other exchange's open interest because it's very different in terms. Oh, for the low has broken, and I have not gotten any sort of trigger to my like pivot right here. Daily NVSC, let me take a look at what Argyle sent. Actually, you don't have to like you don't have to force yourself into any shorts at the moment. You will get your entry, trust me. If you're like feeling, if you're like sometimes feeling like a sort of FOMO, and this is just a reaction from like the session openings and the Americans waking up. So if you feel like some sort of FOMO like kicking into you, even though like my literal trade was just like shorting right here and my stops were right here, but I haven't really executed that because I was waiting for my confirmation, and I'm still waiting for my confirmation. It could be like right there. What it's gonna do is most likely gonna like develop a bit, and then it's gonna strike a little higher, and then from there we could sort of have this sort of structure that gets formed, and most likely go back to this FEG that we have right around this low, and then from there we could develop a pretty nice structure. Grinding out of Val, that is a good notice right here. Let's just go to the lower time frame again. The lower time frame right here. Yeah, you don't have to like force yourself into any sort of positions at the moment. You're just gonna let it develop a bit. It could take 30 minutes, it could take like 40 minutes. When it comes to your entry, how it could develop actually, now that we know that it's broken structure, how it could develop is like it could like sort of form this structure around this low. It won't even like go all the way back up to the extreme. And if you see structure like this that keeps breaking down further lower, keeps holding highs as well, that is actually a continuation short. That usually is a representation of a continuation short, where we're gonna look for claim of all these lowest liquidity that is sitting right here. And that's only when it's the only time it's triggered is when this sort of structure is mostly formed. That's when you want to like actually trigger on one of these highs and like take that short. If this does not happen, and if you don't get this sort of structure after a break structure, what usually happens is that it breaks down a little lower, and then it does a bullish structure break again, and then from there it goes to the POI, and then from there like further structure is developed. That is how you want to really like execute this. You want to wait it out. Eventually you'll get your trigger. Don't force yourself in any sort of trades at the moment. When you get your trigger, just take that and then relax. I feel like a lot of people would be chilling and living a much better life if they just wait for the entry to just come for them. See, if you like actually look at this right here and then you think about shorting it, you would probably like end up in loss already. So just wait for the trigger to come in, and once it is there, just like ape onto it. Yeah, it's probably like it's not gonna be a full chop week, but it's most likely gonna be a very rotatory week. So if you go to the 30 minutes, like I'm telling you, it's gonna probably go all the way back up to the value area high, and then people are gonna be like, okay, it's sending much higher and higher, and then it's gonna what's gonna happen is like it's gonna like chop a bit, it's gonna come high, and then people are gonna be like, okay, we're going back to like 100Ks, and then it's gonna go back to the value area low, and then people are gonna be like, okay, it's over, we're gonna go back lower. It's just how like people's predictions work. Like, well, there's a very beautiful ground that like chart that looks like this. This is how like actually price moves, and this is what like the expectations of people are. Like they're expecting the prices to go much higher, and when it's going lower, they're expecting the price to go much lower. It's I forgot the name of the chart, but it's a very beautiful chart that just represents the overall bias of the market most of the time. And when there's reversal, they miss it, and when they have to like trade the reversals, they're like usually projecting way lower or way higher. Nice. Nice insight for CVD. Now I want to ask what data you read from. Honestly, the data you want to read from in terms of like CVD, choose Bybit, choose Binance, and choose Coinbase. Like Coinbase usually like has a very different CVD and open interest. So separate, make sure to separate Coinbase, and you can actually differentiate between Bybit and Binance. Just use like three tabs. On one tab you can watch Bybit, on one tab you can watch Binance, on one tab you can watch like Coinbase, and then take a look at open interest, take a look at CBD, and also do take a look at Delta. And then you're gonna observe the differences in them. And the more you observe, the more you just stare at the chart, the better it's gonna become. Like the better you're gonna become by just staring at what's going on between price, open interest, and CBD. You're gonna realize, okay, there's this difference in Bybit. People are selling on Bybit, but people aren't selling on Coinbase. Now, what's working is market is going down, so people selling on Bybit is working better than it is working on Coinbase. So that's the sort of differentiation you're gonna start observing when you have all three present in front of you. And Yang said, "Hi Shini, any good tips to get perfect entry for trades? As sometimes we'll get late entry for bad management." Lucky entry, likely exit is a very nice quote said by a lot of my friends, and you can never actually get a perfect entry because this market is a lot of the times just 50-50. You cannot rate you, but you can have like much better entries, and much better entries usually just mean that you're entering the extreme of the move where it's gonna reverse from. That's something that you have to like let it sit in your mind. You're gonna always look for entries where the move is gonna reverse from. That's the extreme of that specific move. Like let's just say bulls are pushing, want to push all the way up to like 100k, and they push all the way up to like 100k, and that's the extreme of that move. That's where you want to look for your short. So now like the best bulls can push is gonna be right here, and you're gonna look for extreme unless and until we like sort of develop this structure that we are developing right now. Actually, it's just going right now. Now we have like a low and a high, and the low is broken. Now we can get like a short entry, and it could be like a 1.5 or 2 hour scalp. This is actually 15 second. It's way too lower time frame. Honestly, it's way too lower time frame. I feel like a lot of people would just mess up just execution, and that's something that is exactly why I have like moved from 15 second to like 5 minutes to 10 to 15 minutes. Is because I felt like a lot of people just couldn't copy the frequency of my trades, and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like let it slow, guys. I'm gonna give you like better trades on the higher time frame, because then you're able to like copy, then the price usually rotates around those levels, and then eventually like executes. It's not like this gonna execute in the next 5 minutes or 10 minutes, which you might not be able to execute. Maybe you get your entry here, it pops a little back up, and you get your stops run. So that's something that I have tried avoiding for the longest while now, and I'm gonna continue doing that. But I will teach you guys how to like microstructure scalp, because that is a very highly performative skill. Now, any sort of questions you guys have at the moment? Yeah, execution matters more than a good entry, honestly. But if you really care about a good entry, then always look for the extreme. You gotta understand that a specific move always has an extreme, and once it's like pushed to its extreme, it's not gonna go further from there. That's when you're gonna start looking for entries. I mean, we can wait around like for another hour and let this develop. But I've told you like the two triggers that I want to look for when I want to short. It's gonna be like this lower high, or it's gonna be when it rejects from this high. ATTR said, not gonna lie, I have a position my desk to only look for extreme. That's not enough to follow. Sky said, what mistakes should we need to avoid on the 15-minute time frame? Honestly, if you understand microstructure, it's literally exactly the same. 15 second and 15-minute is the same sort of time frame. It's just this one plays out a little longer. That's exactly it. If you understand fractals, if you understand how price works with fractals, fractals is just a repetition of price, repetition of patterns, right? So if you understand like there's a repetition of patterns and price always moves in a trend, it breaks trend, it fills imbalances, it rotates from value area low to value area high. If you understand all of these like repetitions and patterns, you're gonna understand fractals. Now fractals, when taken with context, and context by context I mean, let's just say higher time frame wise, or there's the news for war. Let's just say it's an overall downtrend. The market is bearish. Now, in a bearish market, you have two options to be able to like take two trades. That is like, let's just say price is like sort of compressing, right? And now you're confused. Okay, it's compressed to its limit, but the overall like market is sort of bearish. Now, what sort of like trade do you want to take? And what sort of like news is like triggering around that? So you want to take some sort of context with the fractal. Now it could break higher, it could break lower, and that depends on the overall context. Now it's a bearish market, and in a bearish market, if there are more buys in a high and there is more like a continuation in terms of like there's more bad news, then obviously you're gonna take shorts here and it's gonna break down lower. But let's just say it's like the news are getting better and people are buying. What's gonna happen is like it's gonna break higher, right? So repetition always exists, but you have to use those fractals with some context with the market. So you want to put in sort of both and put the puzzles together, and then you're gonna have like a very nice setup for yourself. ATTR said, in hard time frame, what would be your setup, your level, or the sentiment you need to see before a breakdown of this 59K range? Honestly, that's a very good question. Let me go to the hard time frame. For me to see like a proper breakdown of this structure would be if we like come into this, like this is a weekly FEG that we have now. We're gonna come into this weekly FEG, we're gonna fill the value area high, we're gonna tap from the value area high, and then we're just gonna reject from there. Now that rejection is gonna look like what? Another lower high in structure. So that is gonna be sort of a way of continuation for me, and that would lead to a breakdown, maybe even to lower here. Like I was hoping that we break down this value area low right here last week, but we did not do so. So now this is on the plate because we are literally into the value area low right now. Lilu said, can you explain more detail about compression? Is it always bearish when compression and uptrend? It means weakness and going to dump. Honestly, that is also a good question. Let's just say like compression means something like this, like a triangular pattern. Like there is no sort of break in highs, no sort of break in lows. And what this essentially means is that like momentum for this specific trend, this a bullish trend, it's lacking, right? Now that means it's gonna break down. But depending on both the fractal of that current price, like how exactly that price looks like, does it look like a slow grind that's developing? And what the overall fundamental is, what the overall context is there like news coming in, some funds are buying, or like there's good news coming in? That could most likely mean, and if taking a look at the open interest as well, if open interest is tanking higher and higher, and like sellers are sort of tanking higher and higher as well, and so are buyers, right? If all of those things are tanking higher and price is still grinding like this, it's gonna break higher. Usually what happens is like this sort of compression, it just means that okay, this momentum that we had that was going up is lacking, and now it's gonna break down. But when there's actually like the context that is providing that trend, that is like supporting that trend, then it's gonna break higher. So this is vice versa for a downtrend, and we could go in so much more detail about this, and I'm probably gonna explain it for some other time. But this is the sensitivity of like a compression case. Like you can actually fuck this up like big time if you don't take into consideration the context of the fractal, of what exactly price is doing there, and what the fundamentals or the news or the overall like positioning around that like prices look like. So that's something that could happen. Looking at the lower time frame, we are developing lower, right? Honestly, this is gonna take its time, guys. Like this is wallahi, it's gonna take its time for a bit. A compression, Lelouch said, what if both is holding high hold and low hold? That is basically what a compression is. So it's holding both highs and it's holding both lows. So it's not breaking highs, nor is it breaking lows. That is exactly what a compression is. Crypto said, do you have a date for your free YouTube course? I am hoping it's half of it is recorded, the rest of it is gonna be recorded, and once it's edited, I'm just gonna like post it on my YouTube. And there's a lot more videos that I'm like covering right now, that I'm gonna post pretty much straight up on YouTube. Are like 14 to 15 YouTube videos that are solely for that aren't like just recordings of my streams, are like literally a targeted topic targeted videos that I'm gonna like upload, and it's gonna help pretty much everybody. I'm gonna like update it on my Twitter as well whenever I post them. But hopefully it's gonna be, let's just say it's like 22nd June right here today. Hoping it's gonna be done by the first week of July, or it's gonna all of it's gonna be done within July. ATR said, I see Shanice compression like a safe way to TP, short TP, a long PI. Yeah, it's just no, it's literally that. Like you wanna like short add a short PI, you wanna long add a long PI, and you wanna TP vice versa. Um, Arthur said, "Do you consider in your buys any economic news like PPI? Yeah, PPI, like especially when it's like related to related to like USD, it's PPI or CPI or FOMC. That's something you gotta watch out for. It's something that you gotta like sort of see. Okay, it's if I'm in a position, do I want this trade to like really affect like news to affect me? It's something that you gotta look out for." One Piece is posted scalping this. What do you think, Shini? Honestly, like I actually still think like there's a break structure. It's done another break structure. It's forming a high, and it's filled with FVG. And my trade, the continuation trade I was looking for, was just gonna be a little higher. But now that it's like front run, and it was supposed to be like this. Now that's not triggered for me. I'm just gonna wait it out. No, that's all you gotta really look for. Like, oh, okay, we have a break structure. We like filled some sort of PI within the break structure, and this rate didn't fill me, so I'm just gonna wait. Honestly, now if it runs back up, that's something that is actually expected, because we're still like around like opens, and Americans are still waking up. They're betting. It could most likely fill either of these like POIs. So like the best thing you can do right now sometimes is just wait for a clear setup to like take. If you find like a better setup right here, you can like definitely post in the chat and let me know. But I am just gonna wait for my extreme to hit, because there I would know the price cannot further exceed that, and that is where I wanna like get into my reversal. Honestly, stop loss would be like this level right here. Oh wait, this is too high time frame. Would be this high, honestly, like depending on how structure develops. Keely said, Hello, Shini. If price takes both the highs and lows in an SFP or some exchange, but not on perpetuals, which carries more weight. For example, BTC USD swept the lows, while BTC USDT perpetuals only formed equal lows. Would you place more importance on the BTC USD SFP or BTC USD perpetuals? I would actually place a little more importance with the perpetual chart, because the perpetuals is showing leverage in liquidity, and now we know that there's a lot of leverage and liquidity sitting right there. Now that's something that we can use. Now that's something that could be taken. So perpetuals sometimes has more weight comparatively to spot in such cases. Let's go back to the lower time frame. Yeah, one piece straight is working as like this is literally the middle. Sometimes it's actually the middle. As you can see, this is like a high for me, and this is like a low for me. And in this high and low, this is the middle for me. Why want to position either direction in the middle? Not really. That's why I'm just gonna skip it out. And I'm just gonna wait for some structure to develop right here. Like it starts to break down, or I'm just gonna wait for the PI to hit. You don't have to force yourself into any position. And the only position that I am currently in is a long from a little lower. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for the update, guys. If you have any more questions, anytime you can always DM me. My DMs are always open actually, and I'll just get a message request. I'll see that, I'll reply to you. And I do really appreciate everybody for joining. I really had a really nice talk and hope you guys were able to learn something and get some updates for the upcoming week. I'll see you guys later.